I want to introduce Lynn Root. She is not only the founder of PyLady San Francisco, she is an amazing developer who does outreach, who does really cool stuff, really helped move the Python community forward in San Francisco, and now she's here to teach us how to spy with Python. Give her a hand.
Thank you, Cindy. Hopefully my slides will show up in a second. But it's a short presentation. So I'm gonna take up a couple minutes in the beginning just to say a couple announcements. So I work at Spotify. I'm an engineer at Spotify, and I just want to say that we're hiring in San Francisco and New York and Stockholm, both back-end and front-end engineers. So if you're interested, you can talk to me or email me at lynn@spotify.com. I also want to do a little shameless promotion of PyLadies of San Francisco. We have a few events coming up that might be of interest to you all. The first event coming up is actually tomorrow evening. It's in San Francisco at the Spotify offices. Zed Shah from Learn Python the Hard Way is coming to chat with us. So it's Monday evening. We also have a crash course of Linux, Unix, CLI tools coming up in June, and a workshop, a full stack workshop coming up in July, both in San Francisco. And then we also do a lot in the Bay or South Bay area. On, I think it's Thursday, we have, Thursday at LinkedIn, I believe, is a study group, a monthly study group. And then the following week on Tuesday is a hackathon, which I'll encourage you to go. If you want more information, it's meetup.com/PyLadiesSF. Also, for women out there, we have a little promotion going where if you want to go to Google I/O, you can apply by this Friday, and you can get a ticket for $300 if you can arrange your own travel and stuff. It's all up to you, but offering Google I/O tickets for $300. More information is on PyLadies.com. And then I actually announced this at PyCon a few weeks ago, pip install PyLadies, which is pretty awesome. It's if you want to start your own PyLadies locally, you can install the PyLadies package, or you can go to kit.pyladies.com and learn how to start your own PyLadies. I know that SF does a lot of San Francisco City PyLadies and South Bay PyLadies, but there's not a lot of East Bay. So if someone wants to start an East Bay PyLadies, that'd be great. You can go to pip install PyLadies, and it should help you out. Anyways, I didn't think that I would.
The conference for the 18 years, did you get into that?
Pardon? Yesterday's ladies, yesterday's ladies women, or high school women workshop. I was just a mentor there. It was actually Cindy who introduced me that led that, which was a lot of fun. I just want to say that I wouldn't have thought to actually come here to PyData, because I'm not into doing a lot of work with data and Python. Although I think data and Python's a lot of fun. I don't do it for my day job. But I want to thank James Powell, I don't think he's in here, and Leah Silen, I don't think she's in here either, for convincing me to submit this talk. And I'm so glad I came, because I did get to work with the high school women yesterday for the workshop, and I'm learning a lot here. IPython with R kernel and Haskell kernel, that's wow. So I'm actually really excited to go home and play with it. So this presentation wouldn't happen with people egging me on. I've done this presentation before, but I didn't think that it'd be PyData-like. But then I was thinking, well, we're inspecting packets and data packets and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and it's a little tongue-in-cheek kind of presentation. So I hope that you enjoy it. So this is called How to Spy with Python. So easy, the NSA can do it. Yes, I am Lynn Root. I am Rogue Lynn on Twitter, and this presentation you can find at rogue.ly/spy. I've been slightly updating this presentation since I've started it maybe a few months ago, so this is the most recent one. So who am I? Cindy kind of introduced me already, but I'm a partner engineer at Spotify. I build APIs for partners to consume. I also lead integration projects for third-party folks, as well as I get to do PyLadies during my job and speak at conferences for my job. So Spotify is awesome if you're looking for work. PyLadies of San Francisco. I also help PyLadies globally and starting other locations internationally and in other states. And I am board member of the Python Software Foundation. All right, so I have to start off this presentation with an obligatory disclaimer. I am not affiliated with any of this alphabet soup, NSA, FBI, CAA, whatever. I am also not a lawyer, and I'm not a black or a white hat, and this is literally just a proof of concept. Oh, hey, look, there's me. So today's talk will be, I'll first start off with some historical context. I also will go into what the NSA is doing lately, or that we know of, including what PRISM is and what X keyscore is, and then go into some unanswered questions that we have from what the NSA is doing, and basically how you can do that, how we can do that with Python. So what this talk is not. It's not condoning what the NSA is doing. It's not how to avoid being tracked by the NSA. And it's not encouraging you on how to spy on friends, family, or anywhere where there's free Wi-Fi. However, that's exactly how I did this presentation, where I went to like a cafe and sniffed Wi-Fi. So let's start off with some historical context. Basically, what the NSA is doing with PRISM is nothing new. So we'll start off in early 1900s, actually. The Five Eyes group is comprised of the USA, the UK, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. And the purpose is to share signal intelligence. Or each country would surveil a set of other countries, where like the US would focus on Latin America, and then share with each other. And so while the US does not technically spy on itself, there's no stopping Canada from sharing data that it collected about US citizens with the US government. So the NSA was established officially in 1952, but it actually kind of started back in World War I when the US declared war on Germany. It morphed into the Armed Forces Security Agency after World War II. And the AFSA redesignated itself into the NSA in 1952 after it couldn't really get its shit together. It didn't really know what it was doing, and then it got some new ordinances, and so it morphed into the NSA. And so over 20 years after the NSA was officially designated, officially established, and over 50 years after the start of the US surveillance, the Supreme Court finally required warrants for domestic surveillance. So there was a long period where domestic surveillance could happen without warrants. A few years after, the Senate Church Committee revealed illegal domestic spying by the NSA in 1975. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act was signed to protect Americans. And with that, a super secret court, which we all know about, is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, was created for the purpose of hearing requests for these warrants. And so moving forward to 2001, after 9/11 World Trade Center attacks, the culture against spying began to shift within the NSA. So within the first month of right after September 11th, White House asked the NSA what more could be done against terrorism if the NSA had more authority. The NSA resurfaces a plan to perform contact chaining on metadata that it collected, originally deemed illegal only a few years ago by the FISA Act. The US president then gives the NSA authority to begin targeting terrorist-associated foreign phone numbers. Continuing on, within that same month, the US president and cabinet sort of scrambled to draft an authorization to spy on Americans, as none had yet existed, despite the NSA Inspector General report detailing that this is already happening. And so then Bush signs the order to allow the NSA that new spying program, or that resurfaced spying program. And now the NSA feels it's authorized to spy on US calls and emails without warrant. And so then the US Attorney General is just given that authorization, told to just sign it. We need to do this, we need to get it over with, it's national security, so blindly signed it. Shortly after that, telecoms and domestic spying started. Unrevealed telecoms and internet providers in the US received letters from the NSA requesting data to support its domestic spying program. And then an AT&T employee discovers the NSA is working inside AT&T's San Francisco facility. And then after that, telecoms formally enter into a voluntary agreement to give with the US to give data to the NSA. And then related to that AT&T employee, the installation of super secret special technology in the secret room 641A, and that SF AT&T facility was installed to read and analyze tens of thousands of communications per second, and then send those off to a super secret database that the NSA controls. And so 2003, Total Information Awareness Act. The program officially started in 2003, but it actually sort of started in development in 2000. And aimed to gather detailed information about individuals to anticipate and prevent crimes. And so Congress actually stops that in 2003, deeming it sort of illegal. But the program sort of is quietly separated and moved into various committees and is now under the NSA domestic spying program. So the Total Information Awareness Act is still going on. And all right, so now we're up to 2005, 2007. The NSA is exposed. So in December 2005, the New York Times reveals that the NSA has been spying on Americans without warrant. And soon after, Bush confirms that the NSA is indeed warrantlessly wiretapping folks. The New York Times also reveals that some of the NSA spying is purely domestic, with some telecoms giving backdoor access to communication streams, like as I mentioned before, the AT&T San Francisco facility. And soon after the Times article, an unknown company requested the NSA to issue court orders now, rather than companies voluntarily handing over data. So back 2002, 2003, telecoms were voluntarily giving data to the NSA per their requests, and then now after all this bad press, they're now requesting warrants. 2007, the Protect America Act was passed, allowing the NSA not to need warrants. All right, so coming up to now, data protection or data collection for PRISM starts with Microsoft in September 2007. 2008, the Congress passed amendments to the FISA Act that gives telecoms legal immunity for those that cooperated with the NSA's wiretapping. 2012, NSA starts building its biggest spy center in Utah for its collection of intercepted data. Also in 2012, the FBI pushes for wiretap-ready websites, asking internet companies to not oppose a law making backdoors mandatory. And then 2013, if we remember, the Washington Post exposes the PRISM program, and shortly after, XKeyscore was revealed. So that brings us up to today, and the past few years, actually. And so let's quickly go over what PRISM is. So PRISM stands for a planning tool for resource integration, synchronization, and management. Lots of words that make sense, but it's bureaucratic, I guess, naming system that doesn't really make sense. So what it actually is it mines electronic data for the purpose of mass surveillance. It collects intelligence that passes through US servers. If you guys have seen maps of internet cables, a lot of internet traffic passes through the US, even if it's going from UK to Germany. And so it supposedly targets only foreigners, but is very elusive about the data that it collects on US citizens. and supposedly only collects metadata. X-keyscore pairs well, in their eyes, with PRISM. It's a digital network intelligence exploitation system. It's basically a federated query system that of completely unfiltered data. So PRISM collects the data, and X-keyscore is sort of like the database that allows you to query. As of 2008, they had up to about 700 servers, which is not a lot, but as I mentioned, 2012, they started building the Utah Center, so I'm sure they have many more by now. And it gives users, basically folks that work for the NSA, the ability to query for email addresses, a target's activity, phone numbers, HTTP traffic, extract file attachments, etc. So this leaves us with some unanswered questions. What exactly does metadata mean? And then, how do companies not notice being backdoored? Or are they lying when they're denying cooperation? How is a target's foreignness determined? How exactly are they identifying non-US citizens? And then, what's being done that's accidentally collected, data that's accidentally collected on Americans? And so also, how is the PRISM collected data handled by the NSA? Does the NSA maintain rigorous security measures to protect against threats? Like all the data that collected on me by accident, is it nice and secure, or can someone also hack into that? And so one of the questions that I asked earlier was, what exactly is metadata? And I actually kind of stole this slide from the EFF presentation at 30C3 in Berlin in late 2013. So metadata is that they know that you rang a phone sex service at 2:24 a.m., spoke for 18 minutes, but they don't know what you talked about. They know that you called a suicide prevention hotline from the Golden Gate Bridge, but the topic of the call remains secret. They know you spoke with an HIV testing service, and then your doctor, and then your health insurance company within the same hour, but they don't know what was discussed. So you can see that that's all metadata. That doesn't tell you what the conversation happened, like actual data of the conversation that happened. But you can glean a lot of information based on that. And so we kind of know what sort of data they're getting, but how are they getting it? And so this is presumably how it's being happened, is through the tier 1, the backbone of the internet. And so the tier 1 internet allows vast amounts of data to flow from one endpoint to the other through the simplest path versus consumer internet, which hops around looking for the cheapest path. And so major companies like Facebook, Google, AOL, Microsoft are able to tap into the tier 1 network through entry points called edges. And so rather than walking onto Google's or Facebook's data centers and being noticed, the NSA just sort of wiretaps these edges between major companies and the tier 1 network. So I'm sure you all know that there's an XKCD comic for everything, so it probably actually happens like this, where you think that you can crack some RSA encrypted laptop, when really it's probably just brute force with beating people into submission. All right, so now the fun part, how you can do it. I want to make sure that we look the part, so I got my little jacket, let's see. I can put my scarf on. I don't think I look like a good hacker. Do I pass? Yeah. All right. I want you to be able to hear me and not mess up my speaker thing. So, anyways, so tools that I used. This presentation is done in IPython. I did everything in IPython, and then IPython Notebook has an awesome flag that you can use that generates slides. And this is the product of it. I also use Scapy, which is packet sniffing and manipulation for these exercises. And then I also use PyGeoIP, which is the API, a Python API for GeoIP databases. GeoJSON with bindings and utilities for GeoJSON. And Python Nmap, a wrapper around the Nmap port scanner. And then if you wanted to play along, this whole presentation is on rogue.ly/spy, but Everything else, I mean, if you just go to this website, you can go to this slide and see all the links. I have the IPython notebook, doing a quick intro to Scapy, as well as going through every exercise, mimicking what the NSA is doing, as well. The last link is a complete repository of these notebooks. I'll show the first link again at the end. All right, so a quick introduction to Scapy. So this makes me cringe, but this is documented from scapy.all import star. And so I want to sniff some traffic that only goes over HTTP. So I'm limiting, I'm sniffing with a filter of TCP over port 80. The interface I'm using is just EN0, which is my Wi-Fi traffic, and I'm limiting to 10 packets. And so if I see what A is, you can see I got indeed 10 TCP packets. And if I want to see the complete response, you can see sort of a barf of all this data that kind of doesn't really make sense yet. If I just grab the very first packet, you can see a little less information. Kind of looks interesting. Scapy has this awesome function or method called show. And so it pretty prints basically this packet. So you can see the Ethernet layer, the IP layer, the TCP layer, and you can see so IP addresses, protocol. Let's see, there should be some flags like ACK flags. Yeah, there's some flags too. So I mean that's basically how I'm using Scapy. This is all that you sort of need to do what I'm going to be doing. So example X keyscore queries. As I mentioned before, X keyscore is a database that kind of hosts all the information collected from PRISM, allowing users of the NSA to query what they want. So the following examples are from the presentation to its employees. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so this presentation, I mean, this looks like crap, but this is what the NSA gave to its employees. And it's basically showing how X keyscore works. I'm basically taking exactly this, but making prettier slides and how you can do that in Python. So then these are just a proof of concept. I'm not actually storing any data. And then, again, I'm not condoning on spying friends, family, or anywhere where there's free Wi-Fi, except that's exactly how I did it. So first query that X keyscore NSA folks presented was, show me everyone that has searched for a certain term, for a Y term. And so I have a pre-saved pcat file or cat file, and then you can sniff offline with Scapy. So again, I'm using the sniff function. Or you can actually live sniff, I guess, your own traffic with this filter of TCP. And I'm limiting to the host of search.yahoo.com. I'm limiting to 300 packets. And then you can actually save it for later. And so the packets look like, you can see again, I have 300 TCP packets. A quick summary of these packets. And you can see a full list of everything where it goes, packet 0 goes from Ether, IP, TCP, from IP address and port to IP address over HTTP protocol, and you can see the flags. And if I'm picking packet 79, and just quickly showing it again, you can see the Ethernet layer, the IP layer, the TCP layer, and then a raw load, which we didn't see before, but it kind of looks interesting. We can see a GET request and some information down here. So let's sort of parse that out. So if we just grab the raw layer, again, this is just grabbing that information. Oops, sorry. And then if we sort of parse that raw layer out a little bit, when I was playing with Yahoo and search queries, I noticed that whenever you put in a query, like the URL has a question mark P equals, and then the search query. So I just saw that from the URL bar, parsed that out. And the reason why I used Yahoo is because it was not over HTTPS like Google. It was over HTTP. I think they changed that. But so I can see that my first query, I searched for Madrid over Yahoo just by sniffing traffic. And then my second query, I can see that I was just searching for I love chocolate. I really was not creative. And then the last one I searched for is Blue Bottle Coffee. So basically this is showing that like I can open up Scapy, I can sit on Wi-Fi like at Facebook and sniff what you guys are searching for. If it's over HTTPS, it's a little bit more difficult as I do not know how to exploit the Heartbleed bug yet, but that's possible. All right, so query number 2, show me everyone from a certain country that has visited a certain extremist forum. So from Scapy, import star. I have this HTTP cap file already. You can see at the second line that you can use this filter of TCP and host 8888 with 100 packet count. And so again, here I have 41 TCP packets and 2 UDP. Showing the third packet, you can see some, again, the raw load data. So if we're just parsing that out, you can see exactly the HTTP like headers. Let's see here. And if this was like a query of actual database, you want to see if someone visited the former Wireshark website, it's pretty simple. And then, so what I did was I took the packets and basically traceroute them. Sorry that you can't really see all of this, but basically this is my makeshift traceroute function. And so I was able to get all these IP addresses from tracerouting, plotting the IP to latitude and longitude. And so getting coordinates, you can see a bunch of pairs of coordinates, and then making a GeoJSON file out of these coordinates. And then just like using that function, and then here's a GeoJSON I guess, like file that I would save. Then you can actually upload that to gist.github, and it'll automatically plot for you. So you can see like the trace route of that like request, the search or the GET request. I think when I did this, I was actually in Stockholm, so you can see like a point up in like Sweden area, and it goes like back and forth. And that does illustrate that even if like the server is in like UK and I'm doing it from Sweden, that it's still going overseas through the United States. All right, it's pretty cool. Now going to the next query. Query 3, show me all emails with a certain term in the body of the email. So I have a SMTP PCAP file. And here's a summary of it. You can see sort of UDP packets, DNS queries, and SMTP traffic. Just picking out the 11th packet, getting the raw data of that, and you can see that it kind of looks encoded. So I'm going to take away the null characters of that. I think it kind of looks like base 64, so I decoded it, and you can see an email address. Let's take a look at the next packet, see if we can, if it's also encoded, and again, it kind of looks encoded. So you can see if we decode it, it's a password prompt. The next packet, if we take that raw layer, I wonder what this is. Right after password prompt, what could it be? Yeah, that's the dude's password. The sample SMTP PCAP file is actually uploaded to like a Wireshark database, so I'm sure this guy knows that his password's up there and has since changed it. But it just goes to show that it's actually quite easy to like parse out email headers and the raw load. So I want to see if there's a certain string within the email, within the raw load of the email, and I want to see if attachment is in that email. And so using my quick and dirty function, I found the query, and you can see this is actually the whole email. these are all like the headers, the metadata of everything. So you can see the from, the to, and a bunch of other headers. You can also see that the attachment is indeed in the email, like that string. And then if you scroll down further, this is actually the attachment that was in the email. So I'm physically reading the attachment. So that's kind of scary. Query 4, give me PGP usage for a certain country. I made a sample PGP email, saved it real quick. Reading it, you can see that PGP emails do not encrypt any of the metadata. It just encrypts the body, because how would your host be able to route it, right? So it's not like too secret. If you really wanted to be super secret, you wouldn't include anything in the subject line. It'd probably just be like stuff and then PGP encrypted body. Or like if you really wanted to like avoid being tracked, maybe like a private forum that doesn't have any data of yours on there and actually email through that. But that's getting kind of tinfoil hat like. Anyways, you can see that like from you can see where it's from, received, all like the headers, and then the actual PGP encrypted part is the body. And basically, all that you need to do is to see if this string is within the headers, and it basically tells you that yes, this is PGP encrypted. And then you can my quick and dirty parser / trace route. You can see that my friend was in Germany when I did this, and I was actually in Sweden when I did this. So it came from like Berlin and went to like Stockholm area. But then again, it went like pretty much back through the USA and then where I was. So it's quite obvious that the US could intercept the PGP encrypted email, even if it's not starting or ending in the US. Let's see. Query number 5. Show me chats for a certain user during a certain time frame. And so I have another sample cap file for IRC chats. I have 1,150 packets and some UDP packets, ICMP packets, and others. If we do show, you can see that lots of TCP stuff. The port that's very familiar for IRC, DNS queries. You can see Freenode, which is typical of IRC. And then if we do some pretty printing of everything, you can see like some chats going from IP to IP. If you parse that out just a little bit further and want to, this is my filter string, and I'm filtering for user Amharic. And then you can see these chats right here, where you can see Amharic saying, how do you mean, A, whatever, like, so you can see like the messages over IRC. Pretty simple, pretty easy. IRC is not the safest protocol. Find all exploitable machines in a certain country. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to exploit them. I'm just going to show you how you can find something that might be exploitable. So I use Nmap, which is a Python wrapper for Nmap. And I'm scanning Bitbucket, actually, between port 22 and 443. It gives you this sort of data dump. It includes the command line if you just wanted to run into your command line. And then, let's see here. You can see the IP addresses, host name. It was able to find that port 25 is open, which is used for SMTP. It was able to find port 53 open, which is bind or DNS. Able to find 80, which is Nginx runs on. 110 for POP, 143 for IMAP, 443 for another Nginx SSL. So if you happen to know that this version of Nginx 1.5.3 is exploitable, which is listed publicly on, what was it, like Metasploit or something, you can find that, and then you can go do what you want to do with what you just found. So it's quite easy to see what ports are open and what's running behind those ports. Mind you that I did this one time, and then I tried to do it 5 minutes later, and Bitbucket blocked me. So, and so all the hosts for Bitbucket is just this one IP address. I'm going to plot this with PyGeo IP again, creating a GeoJSON file. And then here's the GeoJSON file that I created. And if we plot that, you can see that this server is actually near Denver, Colorado. So even maybe you don't have a technical prowess to exploit Nginx or something, but you know the physical location, you can maybe do some like muscle stuff and break in, or I don't know. All right, so wrapping up, had a lot of fun. We learned long historical precedents for mass surveillance with very little oversight or restriction. Safe to assume that the NSA is pretty much spying on everyone. A conjecture of how the NSA is actively backdooring communications, and kind of how to get yourself on the no-fly list, although I've never had issues. And then how to implement your own sort of PRISM and X keysquare with Python. All right, that's it. Thank you very much. So there's only like 2 minutes, it looks like, 1 or 2 minutes. So maybe one question.
I'm just wondering, where do you run this code? I mean, when your traffic goes through multiple hops. Where actually do you run this code?
It's on my computer.
Okay, so you're watching your own port, basically. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I could go into was it promiscuous mode or something,
right,
and go and sniff everyone's traffic if I wanted to. Right. But like within like 10 seconds, I would probably get like over 10 gigs of data.
Right.
So.
That's exactly the following question.
Yeah.
Is if you look at this sniper traffic, is very verbose and very brusty traffic. So
right,
this kind of code will get into trouble to deal with that kind of traffic.
Right.
So all right, thank you. Thanks.
Maybe one more. Yeah.
I just have to say that was awesome. That would have taken me like 6 months to find all that history, and that was an awesome tour of the internet protocols and how to play with them. That was really awesome.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, so I'll be here for a while if you want to come find me. I also have PyLady stickers if you want. I have plenty of them. But yeah, come talk to me. Thank you very much.
And just so everybody knows, there's about to be a keynote by Josh Bloom back in Living the Dream. He's going to be talking about data science at Berkeley. That's back at Living the Dream where you first came in.